Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. Somebody just gave this to me to review. So it's the NIV Boys Bible. I actually had this kind of on a list of things over the course of months or years to get from CBD, just because we're trying to review all the study Bibles that have ever been printed, if the Lord tarries, if he continues us on this track. You know, sometimes he tells Abraham, raise the knife, and he says, okay, don't go through with it. So we may change that at some point. But for right now, that's one of the many varied ministries here, as far as, you know, seeing people saved, born again of water and spirit, how to live for Jesus Christ, the identity of Jesus Christ, how to show the scriptures are true, and then in the midst of that, just looking at these various study Bibles. So this is the Boys Bible, the ultimate manual, finally a Bible just for boys. I don't know that they make it in King James. I will say it looks like a boys Bible. I mean, it looks like it's dirty. It's got mud on it. It just, you know, it's just classic stereotypical. It looks like it may be a glued binding. It's hard for me to tell, but it does look like the signatures of probably 32 to 64 pages are in fact glued. So let's see how big this thing is. It kind of looks like the Adventure Bible. Little spacer. Let's see if its page numbers are marked. This one actually, you can see it actually has an error in printing, and that happens a lot in Bibles, more than you think. And, you know, like if I get a Bible like this, especially if I can get it on sale, I'll just use, people that want to do it officially, you'll use a razor blade, but you can use scissors and it's going to be just fine. It's not going to detract from the life of the Bible or anything. It just won't be as nice. Just be careful with that razor. You don't want to cut yourself. Well, let's see how many pages this is. We're at 1669. Looks, and there's some stuff after that. So this is actually called the 252 Boys Bible. Let you just take a look on the inside. Like you can see, one section says gross. You know, it's a little thicker than you'd probably like in a Bible, but hardback, gonna last. The thing that you run into with hardbacks is pages begin to fall out because the spine breaks. So you always want to try to break in. It may be Smithsonian because a lot of times glued bindings won't stay open in Genesis. So let's just take a look here. General Editor Rick Osborne. This is done by ZondervanKids. 2002. So this has been out for a while. I'm not even sure this is still being printed. It says it was printed in China. Has a guarantee. Tells you how to do care for your Bible. Here's what I was looking for, is your contributors page. Tells you kind of who contributed some of the articles. Bibles like this, you know, for Sunday school people and stuff. Now, I wouldn't use an NIV. A lot of people would, but you know, the usage for them is just either have it in a Sunday school class, give it to a young person, maybe encourages them to read. So let's go back here. I don't know who Rick Osborne is per se. Here's a how to use the Bible. And you wonder, you know, like how many, there's probably a few young men that would read that. Probably not a lot, but a few. So we get to Genesis, and it has a nice little introduction section in Genesis. You know, so about 1,675, 80 pages all told, maybe a little more than that. But it's set up a little bit like the Adventure Bible. I know the Adventure Bible comes in a King James Version. What are some of the stories in this book? Where did all this happen? Mesopotamia, when did it happen? No one knows when the creation or flood occurred. Talk to Archbishop Usher about that. Abraham was born about 2150 BC. Saving the best till last. Get smarter. Has a little picture of a brain. Get a load of this. Has like a skateboard. So, of course, I like stuff like that. That's good. And, thinking back to my 12, 13-year-old days, obviously what I would do is I would get this Bible and I would begin to read the things on the side. That's what I would read. And it would make me feel more spiritual and on and so forth. So that's kind of cool. Make it stick. I better let you see that, because we've seen the grow section, make it stick section, which I'm sure is application, memorization kind of things. This is really, whoever designed this Bible, they really did it good. It kind of looks like a muddy thing. Luke 2:52, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and men. And he was 12 at that time, at least in his humanity. So let's see are you deprived? That's a good subject. It is not red letter. Let's see if it's got anything between the New and the Old Testaments. I'm going to guess not, but it might. It does not. And so here's like the introduction. Really nice introductions. And then we'll get to some of the stuff at the back as well. I wish I was better at ascertaining whether something was glued or smith sewn. Like, I don't see the glue, but I can see the signatures real clear, which really usually, indicates it's glued, but I don't know. Okay, so we're in Revelation. It is Revelation singular, not Revelations. I read scholars sometimes who call it Revelation. Indexed, deeper, smarter, stronger, cooler. I was reading, there's some new Christian book it was for Christian young ladies, and it was how to be fierce and a Christian. And I'm like, have they not read 2 Timothy 3 about, last days people will be fierce, and that's like a negative thing. We're supposed to have the fear of the Lord, not be fierce. I'm sure it's just some pop cultural deal that they've got. It's actually got a little place to read back here as well. Deeper, stronger, but like cooler. We were always taught cooler means not so hot. Stronger, picture of a muscle. See, pride. I know on the cover of a Black Sabbath album one time, they had war and then bodybuilders. Because I remember one time when Anton LaVey was on one of those old shows, founder of the Church of Satan, and a guy was telling me disagreed with him. It's like Merv Griffin or something. And he said, well, you're a bodybuilder, so that's all I'm claiming is that, worship yourself, So proud look and all this. So, some of the stuff, you have to just be careful. So here's what I think. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages of that. So let's take a look at how big this thing is. This thing is 8.6, which isn't big, by 5.5. That's not big, but where it's going to be, yeah, it's 2 inches wide. And let's see what the print size is. It's readable. I'm going to guess it's 10 point. And I think I guessed wrong. It looks like about 9.5 point, but it is extremely readable. So the Boys Bible, the Ultimate Manual, 252, finally a Bible just for boys. They had the men's devotional for a long time, women's Bible. So this is a good Bible. So, again, I would suggest if it's still in print, bring it out in King James. It's open source, no copyright. You can do this. So God bless. Talk with you later in Jesus' name.